What if my yoni egg gets stuck? Why does my yoni egg keep falling out? Today, we're answering both of these questions and talking about how to cultivate yoni power. Welcome to Holistic Yoni Care TV. I'm Dominique Danielle, and today we're talking about what to do if you fear that your yoni egg is going to get stuck. Also, what to do if your yoni egg continues to fall out. We'll also be talking about how you can cultivate yoni power. And finally, I'll share with you another one of my favorite yoni eggs. So before we dive into today's juicy topic, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also, hit the notifications bell so that you can be the first to know whenever I upload a new video. Finally, if you feel that this information might be helpful to anyone in your network, go ahead and share this with a friend. As we go through today's topic, I want you to keep in mind that the central focus of a yoni egg practice is really to cultivate, to develop your vaginal consciousness. And there are four main factors that play into an egg feeling like it's gotten stuck or an egg that may be continuing to fall out. And those are vaginal elasticity, body awareness, vaginal strength, and inner trust. So now let's dive right in and talk about what to do if you feel that your yoni egg is stuck. And I want to share with you really quickly a quote from the book that was written by Grace Diaz entitled How to Use the Yoni Egg for Sensual Healing. And she says, a declaration that your egg is stuck is a sign of avoiding your feminine power and refusing to own your body with pleasure and relaxation. She goes on to say, a yoni egg will only appear to be stuck when a woman is not liberating or acknowledging her sexuality of letting go. There are many reasons why a yoni egg might appear to be stuck in the vaginal canal, but I want to share with you the three most prominent. Number one is emotional heaviness or intense emotions such as anger, fear, stress, anxiety. These are restrictive emotions that tend to constrict movement within the vagina. If these are trauma related, you can kind of think of them as maybe an expression or manifestation of the freeze response. You know, you have flight, fight, or freeze. And so these things can seal the vaginal canal. And so you can imagine there might be some difficulty knowing how to release your egg if you are dealing with heavy emotions. The second reason why a yoni egg might appear to be stuck is pelvic floor tension. Now, there are many reasons we might hold tension in the pelvic floor. They can be mechanical, physical reasons. They can also be emotional related, which ties kind of into that first reason I just shared with you. And the third reason might seem counterintuitive, but it's actually feeling blissful and or orgasmic. This can magnetize your egg and suck that egg back up into the vaginal canal. And so your egg might stay a little bit longer just because you're feeling pretty good. Number one is to relax. I want you to think of birthing your egg rather than removing the egg. Removing is a process that is kind of external where you're taking something out. Birthing comes from within, and it's developed from a place of deep inner trust in knowing that your body is capable of birthing your egg. This ties back into what I said earlier about yoni power. The more that you can relax your body, relax your mind, and just breathe, this will allow you to relax your vaginal muscles. You can also drop your bottom jaw in this process. Most importantly, if you're holding any fear that your egg might be stuck, lean into the fear that your egg is stuck. And oftentimes, you'll find that the yoni will go ahead and release the egg. The second thing that you can do is to work with a medium-sized egg. Now, of course, I want to just say this flat out. There is no standard for sizes of yoni eggs. So medium egg is just a ballpark estimate of an egg, like the ones that I offer in my shop that are 3 centimeters by 4.5 centimeters. So they're 4.5 centimeters tall and 3 centimeters wide. That's roughly what I would consider a medium egg. A medium egg is a little easier to work with if you're having a lot of tension in the pelvic floor and also the egg is tending to not release. As opposed to working with a larger egg, this might actually help you to make a little bit more progress in that area. The third thing that you can do if you feel that your egg has gotten stuck is to do yoni yoga and yoni breathing. Yoni yoga is kind of a catch-all term for yoga postures that center around opening up the hips and opening up the heart. And these postures, such as frog pose, cobra pose, yoga squat, or goddess squat, these poses can really help you to open up the hips, to get a little bit more circulation, to move the energy around your yoni. And this can be really helpful if you combine it with yoni breathing to release your egg. One important thing to remember is on the exhale, when you are yoni breathing, it might be helpful to actually moan or loudly sigh your out breath, because this is going to release any tension. This also helps you to express and release your truth. Remember, when we are having an egg that is stuck, the energy might be a little bit stagnant. We want to create circulation. We want to create movement on an emotional level as well as a physical level. So moaning or loudly sighing that out breath can actually be really therapeutic and really helpful in this process of helping you to relax your pelvic floor. The fourth thing that you can do if you feel your yoni egg is stuck is pelvic thrusts. Pelvic thrusts can really help you to create that movement and to open up the vaginal canal. And another thing is winding. So thrusting, winding, think of a belly dance type of movement. These are often things that are used during the labor process. When I was giving birth to both of my sons, both of those were home births. I wasn't on any type of pain relievers or anything like that. And so winding, pelvic thrusting, these things really help to open up the birth canal. And so this is one way to create more space in your yoni and to relax that area to actually birth your egg. Birthing your egg is the same process as birthing anything. And finally, another tip from the process of pregnancy, labor, childbirth is to place a warm towel on your yoni, on the perineum. So you don't want the towel to be too hot, obviously. You want to make sure the towel is nice and warm, and you can just lay that flat across the perineum and allow the warm steam to help relax the muscles. So all in all 5 of these tips are kind of overlapping in one theme: relaxation. These are all meant to help you relax and help your yoni to melt open and to create that sense of flow. So now let's talk a little bit about what to do if your yoni egg continues to fall out. This is a very common occurrence. Number one, if you are just beginning your practice, if you are still working on developing that pelvic floor strength, if you have given birth before. All of these reasons and more can be reasons why your yoni egg might be falling out. So we're going to really dive deep into 4 main reasons. Number one is you're a beginner. You're still developing that vaginal muscle strength. Working with a yoni egg, if you've never done it before, it's a little bit of a different practice. It's a very unique thing. And so learning how to manipulate, to grip, to squeeze, to push, to hold, to suck the egg up, these are skills. And so just like any skill, they can be developed. Remember, these are muscles. Muscles can learn and they can be worked out. So if you're in the beginning of your practice, it is very common for your egg to fall in the toilet when you're urinating. It's very common for your egg to maybe slip out if you're getting out of bed or if you're changing positions. Sometimes if you're laughing or if you cough or you sneeze. So don't worry if these things happen. Know that in time, as you practice with your egg on a daily basis, your yoni will learn, your muscles can learn, and they will learn how to contour and to squeeze the egg, to grip the egg. So it's really just a process of being patient with yourself, enjoying the learning process, and just trying again and being very compassionate with yourself. And most of all, to just trust that your body can do this. There's nothing wrong with you, and everyone is different. Everyone's timing is different. The second reason why yoni egg might fall out is if you are deeply relaxed or in an orgasmic state. This is kind of the same reason that I mentioned earlier for yoni egg feeling like it might be stuck. This can go both ways. So if you are in a deep state of relaxation and you're not really thinking about any tension and your yoni egg slips out, that is perfectly fine. The third reason for an involuntary release of your egg can be childbirth or anything that has caused a lot of strain on your pelvic floor. I'll talk about my story in just a moment because there's a mix of childbirth and there's other reasons why my pelvic floor might have been strained. And so I'll share with you that in just a moment. But the fourth reason why you might be involuntary releasing your egg is a leakage of energy. And so what do I mean? This is known as a leakage in your life force. If your energy is being leaked out into many different directions, this can actually manifest physically as the muscles just releasing the egg without having that boundary to hold things in. So this can be if you are overburdened with things to do. Some call this the rushing woman syndrome. If you are all over the place, if you are being everything to everyone and you don't really have that time to pull in and give yourself what you need, this can be one way that your energy is being leaked in a bunch of different directions. This can also happen if you're not setting emotional boundaries. So I want you to think of all the ways in your life that your energy is being used on a daily basis. The phone calls you get, the way you extend yourself to people, who are you helping or who are you worrying or thinking about on a daily basis. These are all uses of energy, and there's no right and wrong. This is about, again, building that awareness of self and knowing how is my energy being used and is that really serving me? And so just simply having that thought process, doing that assessment and setting some boundaries might be the thing that helps you to develop more strength so that you can have a better command over holding your egg a little bit longer. So now I want to tell you a little bit about my journey with yoni eggs. I've never had an issue with an egg getting quote unquote stuck, but I have had the issue of not holding my egg as long as I wanted to. So many years ago when I first started working with the yoni egg, I would put the yoni egg in and within a few minutes it would come right back out. I could feel the egg crowning and I would squeeze, 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 and it would just come out and I would get so frustrated. And at one point I remember talking to an acquaintance of mine and we were talking about yoni eggs. And she said, girl, you know, I like to wear mine around and I dance with it in the house. How do you dance with your egg? And I remember this great sense of shame. And I said, well, my egg kind of falls out, so I can't. And she goes, oh. So in that moment, I internalized that as a sense of, wow, you know, I guess maybe I don't have, I'm missing something, or maybe my yoni is not capable of doing this. And of course, I now know in retrospect that of course there was nothing wrong with my yoni. This was all about me developing trust in my own body. Ever since I was a little girl, I have had a little bit of a weakness when it came to my pelvic floor. Constipation is something that I dealt with as a child. So the straining, the pushing, lifting heavy things, I did a lot of all of that when I was younger. And so I had no awareness of pelvic floor. I hadn't even heard the term pelvic floor until I was like in mid-adulthood. So, you know, all of these things over time were putting strain on my pelvic floor. Of course, I gave birth to my son, which was beautiful. We had a beautiful home birth, didn't have any issues. I got pregnant again when he was 3 months old. So I had another child the very next year. So as you can imagine, having back-to-back pregnancies when I was already dealing with a pelvic floor kind of weakness issue for the past 20 years, this put a lot of strain. So obviously using a yoni egg after 2 days, I was not going to be some super yoni egg master, but I had this expectation that just didn't line up with my reality. So I had to learn over time of working with my yoni egg, being patient with myself, learning to pull my energy in and seeing where things were seeping out for me. Where was I being overly people pleasing? My very first video on this channel, I shared a little bit about that story and how that tied into some trauma, some abuse issues, and how I worked through those things. So there was the emotional part of it, but then there was a physical strengthening part of it. So one of the things that I did was to recommit to my yoni egg practice and wear my yoni egg at night while sleeping. While you're laying down sleeping, it's a lot easier to hold your egg in because you're not working against gravity. So working with a yoni egg through sleeping helped me to develop a little bit more vaginal tone. And I noticed over just a few short weeks that going to the restroom, when during urination, I was no longer dropping my egg in the toilet. I can't tell you how frustrating that is, and how liberating it is to finally reach that point where you say, okay, wow, I can actually go urinate without dropping my egg. So I just want to encourage anyone out there who is dealing with this problem of involuntarily releasing your egg, that trust the process, stay with the egg, stay with your practice, because you will get stronger, you will develop more mastery over these muscles, and it's such a fun journey of just watching yourself go through these processes. And while you're moving through the physical process of working with your egg, there are a lot of emotional and energetic changes. Your attitude, the way that you show up in the world, the things that you do for yourself, how you express yourself, all of these begin to change and shift. And this is all based on my personal experience. So now I'm going to jump back to telling you a couple things that you can do to work on retaining your egg and building that pelvic floor strength. Number one is grounding. It's important to practice grounding. Grounding brings you back down into your body. And when you are able to ground and relax and center, this helps you to develop more awareness of your vaginal muscles. And this can also speed up your ability to strengthen your pelvic floor so that you can retain your egg. Piggybacking on that is the second thing you can do to retain your egg. Learn how to conserve your energy. Start setting boundaries in terms of your time and your energy. By learning to shift your energy, becoming more emotionally conscious, this is going to help you not only build strength and emotional resilience, but also physical strength and trust in your body. The third tip I have for you in terms of retaining your egg is to work with a larger egg. It's easier for the vaginal muscles sometimes to grip those eggs if you're just starting your practice. So work with a larger egg. I already shared earlier the size dimensions of the eggs that I offer, but larger eggs can definitely help with that. And the final tip I'll share with you when it comes to strengthening your pelvic floor is pelvic floor physical therapy. If this is not something you've heard of, I really encourage you to talk to your doctor about it. Ask them if they can refer you to a pelvic floor physical therapist. According to a recent study, 74% of women who worked with yoni eggs in their practice reported feeling an increase in muscle strength. 58% of them reported that their yonis felt tighter simply by inserting the yoni egg, and 46% of the women said that they could consciously move their eggs inside of them by undulating their yoni muscles. Now let's talk about yoni power, how to assess your yoni power and how to cultivate it. In her book, How to Use the Yoni Egg for Sensual Healing, Grace Diaz defines yoni power as the following: heightened vaginal muscle awareness, perceptibility in vaginal muscles, active mobility and flexibility of those muscles, and strong physical strength in those muscles. All of the tips that I've shared throughout this video are going to help you to cultivate yoni power. It's not just about the physical muscle strength, but it's about building trust and developing that consciousness, the awareness of your yoni. And the way we do this simply is to work with your yoni egg every single day. And for today's Yoni Egg Spotlight, we have Rhodonite, the stone of purpose through emotional healing. As a heart chakra stone corresponding to the elements of earth and water, Rhodonite has an unmatched ability to ground heavy emotional energy. Rhodonite yoni eggs are very useful in cases of shock, trauma, abuse, codependency, self-harm, difficulty regulating your emotions, and anxiety. It helps to transmute resentment, hurt, anger, betrayal, abandonment, and other emotional scars into self-love as you discover healing, resilience, and new spiritual gifts within yourself. Rhodonite yoni eggs are very useful in recovering from physical and energetic wounds or scarring. Rhodonite really helps you to own your story so that you can tell it from a truly empowered place. And finally, because it's one of the heavier stones, Rhodonite yoni eggs are the #1 choice for advanced vaginal strength training. Starting with a Rhodonite yoni egg is a great place to begin your practice if you're strengthening the pelvic floor, because it's a little bit heavier. Even if this is not the largest egg, The Rhodonite Yoni eggs that I offer, I have some that are drilled and some that are non-drilled. So these are great for building pelvic floor strength from the ground up. So make sure you visit holisticyonicare.com to learn a little bit more about this stone and see what I have to offer. I hope this video has been helpful for you. I've certainly enjoyed coming to share with you. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them below in the comments. I will respond to every single one of them. And make sure you tune in next week because we're going to be talking about yoni egg safety. Not every single yoni egg is created equally. There are stones out there that you should not be putting in your yoni. So we're going to dive deep into yoni egg safety. You definitely don't want to miss that video. In the meantime, you get to choose how you show up in life. Love yourself fiercely. Own your story and say yes to you. Namaste.